Welcome to the Abyssinian Syllabary, where we spell out Ethiopia in 33 characters. I'm Yves-Marie Stranger, your host and the compiler of these Abyssinian lives. Nota bene, while any resemblance to actual countries, past or present, and to historical figures is not purely coincidental, this is a work of fiction. For a primer on these Ethiopian characters, newcomers may start with the prologue by Manuel de Goes. To order the book or a poster of the Abyssinian Syllabary, visit Ethiopia.com. That's UTHIOPIA.com. All of this is an encore, you know, said Yacob to his disciple. But what, master? Politely inquired Berde. Everything, and since time immemorial, his master replied, and he made a hand gesture that encompassed the shade of the shola tree under which they had been served their injera and pea broth, the mead flasks, and the plump housewife and the blue Nile abbess lying at their feet. The Apocrypha of Yacob. Tintin. Tsulot. As most people know from the widely read Tintin and the Alpha Syllabary, French edition, Tintin en Ethiopie, serialized edition, 1963-1966, first English edition, 1966. The Ark of the Covenant has been held in safety in Ethiopia since the destruction of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. The story goes that Menelik I, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, brought it back to his mother's country with the scions of Israel's tribes, symbolically transferring God's covenant from Israel to Ethiopia. All of this information is imparted to Haddock and the reader on the third page of the album by a vehement Ethiopian barber to whom Haddock has just casually sworn, "Oh, tabernacle!" Haddock is comically fed gusha, hand-fed, that is, by two sprightly Orthodox nuns who keep telling him, "Just say Ishi," as the cutthroat-wielding barber becomes more and more animated. This is not to be Haddock's last force-fed ingestion of Ethiopian culture. In case you are one of those adults who no longer thumb the classics of yesteryear, let me flip through it quickly for you. The album begins in Moulinsart, where Haddock and Tintin are reading about the Negus, Emperor Haile Selassie, and his recent triumphal tour of Europe. Professor Calculus is bumbling about with his pendulum, darkly talking of a weapon to end all wars, and mistakes Haddock's the Negus of Ethiopia for the egg of Utopia, and launches into a philosophical ramble on what came first, Utopia or the egg. Of course, this is only a prelude to their adventures in Ethiopia. Hergé's clear-line drawings make for wonderful likenesses of Lalibela, the highlands, the Semien Mountains, and Lake Tana. I particularly like the moment when Tintin and Haddock are travelling on the lake in a tankwa, reed boat, to the monastery of Naga, and mistake Calculus's submarine for a new species of hippopotamus. Another favourite of mine is the Tsar spirit invocation in the Fasilides castle of Gondar, when the spirit possesses Snowy. The most iconic scenes are certainly those in the Semiens, where Tintin and his guide Mamouche, disguised as bleeding heart baboons in the middle of a 1,000-strong pack, are pretending to graze on grass and roots, when suddenly one of the baboons shuffles up, carrying a bottle of rum, and turns out to be none other than Captain Haddock, likewise disguised. Billions of blistering baboons, plus two more. Captain Haddock, we presume, chorus Tintin and Mamouche. I'm under some kind of aerial surveillance by a pestilential stool pigeon, whispers Haddock, as a bearded vulture hovers above with a baboon skeleton dangling from its talons. Mamouche expounds. Captain, that's not a pigeon with a stool. That's a vulture with a load of bones, looking for somewhere to drop them, to crack them open. It can even do the same with live tortoises. 10,000 tormented tortoises! Boneheads! Numbskulls! We need a bomb shelter! Bethink yourselves how Aeschylus was killed back in 455 BC by a falling tortoise, dropped on his bald pate by an eruptive Hirundo Ethiopica. Or was it a gyrating Gypaetus barbatus? A bird is a bird is a bird, my friends, shrugs Tintin nonchalantly. High above, the hovering bearded vulture gives the reader a bird's eye view of what it may mean in an ethereal vision to be in Ethiopia as it drops, with an unerring aim, its ballistic load of retributive bones on their heads. Whoa! It's a Boeing B-52! Guano Gavra, Octagoon, misguided missile, syllabaric barbarian, Abugida Bugaboo. Their cover blown, they exit, pursued by 999 baboons. When Tintin's nemesis, restyled Ras Populos, complete with a head of dreadlocks, arrives on the scene, it becomes clear that the theft of the Ark to harness its devastating power and transform the world into a dictatorship ruled by a crazed and reclusive Russian communist is the real objective of the story, and not Tintin's purported mission to cover Haile Selassie's Jubilee celebrations. The 60s were, of course, the height of the Cold War and of Haile Selassie's standing in the non-aligned movement. The last image of the avuncular and wise emperor waving goodbye from the steps of the Jubilee Palace as Haddock, Calculus, Tintin and Snowy take their leave is particularly poignant when one calls to mind that the emperor would be snatched from these same steps just a decade later and driven off to prison in the back of a Volkswagen Beetle. And how not to see in the conniving Raspopulos an uncanny harbinger of Colonel Mengistu? There are some who see in this late work, produced by Studio Hergé, a tired duplicate of Tintin in Tibet, and it has to be admitted there are close parallels between the Semian shepherd boy Mamouche and Chang, and that some scenes do seem to be directly transposed from earlier albums. For all that, it remains an uncommonly accurate portrayal of Ethiopia. The ethereal quality of Hergé's style seems particularly suited to his subject here. Just think back to those iconic scenes in the Semian in which Tintin and Mamouche, disguised as bleeding heart baboons, have to feast on grass and roots in the middle of a 1,000-strong pack of baboons. As the bearded vulture hovers above, it is the readers themselves who are given a bird's-eye view of what it means, in a Platonic sense, to be in Ethiopia. Never has the particular light of the Ethiopian highlands been captured so well. I suppose one should not read too much into a comic book, even when imagined by the great Hergé. Likewise, I don't think much of interpretations that see in this work the cartoonist's act of contrition for Tintin in Congo. In my opinion, Tintin and the Alpha Syllabary is one of the most clear-sighted depictions of Ethiopia there is, and I encourage anybody who wants to get a good feel for the country to go out and get it immediately, lest you be force-fed cultural gauche a la Haddock.